Welcome, time for some art fun. Today, we're going to go over my most used supplies for 2021, so stick around. To make this video, I just tried to think about, I'm sitting down to make something, what's the first thing I have to grab? And obviously that's my sketchbook. So I've been using mostly these 8 by 10 or around there, sort of soft cover sketchbooks with some pretty nice paper. And what by that I would mean based on GSM. So this one is the Strathmore Series 500 mixed media. It's 90-pound paper or 190 GSM. And I love this paper. I've actually recently bought a bunch more of these that'll be in my haul video that's coming up for January. I love this particular sketchbook. I used all kinds of different mixed media in it and it stood up really well. Fairly affordable compared to other sketchbooks of this size with this quality paper. So I'm loving the Strathmore, but it's really just the idea of these size sketchbooks. The other one that I used a ton and that you see in almost every video are these Stillman and Byrne sketchbooks. This one is Alpha Series. At first I didn't love this paper, but after actually using it, I cannot believe what a deal it is. It's so affordable for how much paper you get. And it is thin. It's 150 GSM. It's only thin compared to the 190 GSM. But it weirdly didn't seem to matter because it just took ink, watercolor, flash paint, vinyl paint, colored pencil, Tombow dual brush markers, gesso. Every medium I threw at this thing, it handled beautifully. So this paper really won me over. And the one I'm going to use next and that I'm currently using is this Stillman and Byrne Beta series that I've been using for my more recent YouTube videos. And I'm already obsessed with this paper. It's just because it's 270 GSM, you get less pages in this one than you do in the Alpha. So I don't know if I would get this one or the Alpha in future, but I'm really loving all of them. So definitely enjoy that. And that's my little sticker from my Redbubble shop. That's one of my original paintings, and I just love being able to put those stickers on my sketchbooks. I think it's a really cool thing. So the sketchbook is number one. The next thing I always grab are these clips just to hold the paper down because I usually use wet media. And so I will clip this down so that it dries flat. So these are the next thing I just always grab, and that's why I had to make it into my most used. The next thing that I always grab is some washi tape. So I will take whatever brand. I used up all my Mira Byler washi tape. I was really into that and love them. And now I'm just using up my other brands, all different sizes. I have a super thin one, a sort of medium one that probably gets used the most, and a really thick one that I use more when I'm worried about going outside the lines. But I always have a variety of sizes, and these are just from their Joann's. It was in one of my hauls. I got a big tube of these for only $7. So you can get them pretty affordable, or you can invest more if you really love looking at it or decorating pages with it. But that's the next thing I always reach for. The next thing that I always reach for once I've got my washi tape down and my clips are out is going to be my sketching pencil. And I use usually these Col-Erase, and actually you can't even see, let me see if I have one that's a little less used. The Prismacolor Col-Erase pencils, where they're just erasable colored pencils that you can do your sketch with. I love them. I use this brand a lot. I also use this super mechanical one where the eraser and the tip are the letter both mechanical. And this one is just the Clear Point Papermate. Is this brand, the Pilot Color Eno pencil. And it doesn't matter to me which one as long as it does that thing. As long as it is a colored sketching pencil, I'm open to whatever brand is going to give that to me. Once I have my sketch laid down, then I'm going to be looking to ink it. And so this is my next most used supply of 2021. Micron pens, which are archival ink, waterproof, all water, so you can use it with water-soluble markers like Tombows. You can use any water-based medium over it. It's going to survive, so I really like the Microns. I really love India ink, which I'll put in these. This is an Arteza brand water brush, but I'll fill water brushes with varying amounts of ink to water. And so one of these is pure ink, one is ink mixed with water, using that for big areas of solid black. And then I also use my Jinhao 992 fountain pen with waterproof ink in it as well, so that I can actually do what I do with my microns with this fountain pen, but it's refillable. So I really like having a fountain pen for that. Once I've got my sketch down, now I'm ready to go to town and get busy. So mostly this year, I've been using my Daniel Smith palette. That I took the Prima Marketing Pastel Dreams palette and took the Pastel Dreams out and made it into my travel palette with a bunch of other different watercolors that I've gone over that in my review all my watercolors video. This one is just Daniel Smith. So, and a little bit of Winsor & Newton white gouache. And then I think there are 2 colors in here, the Opera Pink and the Manganese Blue Hue, that are Winsor & Newton. Other than that, everything in here is Daniel Smith, and I just use this the most. I think I just reach for it the most because it's so convenient, it's so small. I'll just grab my, I'll just do that, and I'll just paint like that. You've seen it a million times. So once I have my watercolor and my sketchbook and my tape has been laid out, and I've got my pencil sketch done and my ink sketch down, and I'm ready to apply something water-based, I'll get my brushes and this. And so let's look at the brushes. My favorite brushes that I use in almost every single painting are these Silver Black Velvet 14, a 6, and a 2. They're round brushes, all 3 of them. They hold a ton of water and they just work beautifully. They come to a beautiful point. They're extremely reliable. I really can just grab these 3 and I'm good. I don't. I still grab other things because I want to have fun. So I'll grab, different shaped brushes for different things. And sometimes, especially if I'm using my gouache, I'm not going to use these. I'm just going to use these for watercolor. I won't even use them for gouache, even though gouache is water soluble. I definitely won't touch these to acrylic or vinyl or anything like that. But I love these brushes and I use them constantly. So these definitely make the list of most used in 2021. Once I've got my sketchbook and it's clipped and I've done my pencil sketch and I've done my ink sketch and I've laid down my washi tape to get nice clean borders, and I've got my watercolor out and I've got my brushes out, the next thing I'm going to do when it dries is think about multimedia, mixed media. And so sometimes I'll use either acrylic gouache. I've used this a ton this year. This is the Turner acrylic gouache. I don't necessarily love this formula or anything, or I'm not doing a review on the Turner acrylic gouache. I've actually had a little bit of problems with it and a lot of success with it. So I do use it all the time and I'm going to use it up, of course. And I also have my Blick matte acrylics that I have a whole video on, but I didn't get those until very recently. Most of the year I was using these. I would absolutely use the Blick matte acrylic in place of these once these are used up, and then I'll use those up. And if there's something similar, I'll try that. I'm not married to any one of these brands or anything. But this was definitely something that I was using a ton just to lay in a waterproof background, because once these dry, they won't lift with water. So I love using them in my multimedia pieces with water-based media. And then the next thing I'll do the same thing are these Caran d'Ache Luminance colored pencils. I love their formulation. I love the way the pencils feel. I just look forward to using them, and that's the number one thing I usually look for in an art supply, is if I'm excited to use it. And I don't need a ton of them. I don't have a set of them. I've bought them individually over time, but I just really love adding different textures and things with my Luminance pencils once I'm done and at the multimedia consideration stage of my piece. And, I probably should have talked about this with my normal sketchbooks, but I'm always using one of these too. And that's another one of my stickers from my Redbubble shop, just from one of my YouTube videos. And that's a Lee Ellickson sticker. But these Travelogue Handbook Co. sketchbooks, I use them for all of my cheap, quick work. That's a ton of pages. It's just a huge sketchbook. The pages don't like watercolor. They can't take the abuse that these Stillman & Byrne and Strathmore sketchbooks can take, but they're so wonderful for travel. They're so wonderful for just messing around and for lower pressure stuff. So I'm always using 2 sketchbooks, a cheap sketchbook and a fancy sketchbook. And when I'm using a cheap one, I'm using this one, and I've gone through a ton of them at this point. Let me just see. I have one working downstairs. This is a new one I haven't started yet. 3 other filled ones. So I have 4 total of that one brand of sketchbook, and Arteza is the only one that I have that many of for another brand. And that was really because I started with Arteza for watercolor sketchbooks, for my fancy sketchbooks, before I was comfortable spending the kind of money that you spend when you're getting Stillman & Byrne or Strathmore. So those are my most used art supplies of 2021. When I look at them, I just love looking at pretty art supplies. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I look at this and I'm just like, oh, this is so nice. It's so pretty. And they're so wonderful to use. And they've just brought me so much joy. I don't know what else to tell you. Like this makes me so happy. Do you guys get that feeling from your art supplies? Like just looking at your art supplies and you're thinking about all the fun you've had and all the fun you're going to have? That's what I'm feeling when I look at my 2021 most used art supplies. So leave a comment down below and tell me if you've used any of these supplies, if you're going to be using any of these supplies in 2022, and what your most used supplies of 2021 were as well. Remember to like the video, especially if you made it this far. You probably liked the video, so that would be wonderful. And check if you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would so appreciate it if you would consider subscribing. Until next time, remember, create something cute.